How-To Camera is sponsored by Squarespace, the fastest and easiest place for you to get a photography website. Happy birthday, everyone, and welcome. It's a Mike Falzone joke. I poached it because today we're talking about eggs and Aperture, and you might not think they go together, but they do. You'll see on this episode of How to Camera with Tim and myself. It's always a great day when you get the best parking spot at the studio. Let's begin. I will say that this is the thing at the studio that probably gets used the most. My mom would be so proud. Now we're ready, Tim. Let's go get some eggs. This is the back room of the studio that no one ever sees. Off to the egg store. All eggs kind of taste the same, so I don't know. Do all eggs taste the same? I feel like regardless of which eggs I buy. Tim's shaking his head. He says that all eggs do not taste the same. See, I feel like all these are the exact same. I feel like this is going to taste exactly the same as that. This episode is sponsored by Red Bull. One day. Got 12 eggs and a Red Bull. We're ready to begin. I'm going to walk you through the gear we're going to be using here to teach you all about Aperture. With me, I have the 85mm 1.4 G lens, which is a prime lens, does not zoom, and it is on Nikon D850 body. On my D750, I have a more conventional 24-70 f2.8 VR. A very fantastic lens that got a lot of really negative reviews off the beat. Whatever. It's a lens. So Aperture is essentially the. Is it the physics? I should look up what Aperture actually is. It's like an app and a pair and a chair. I'll have one Aperture, please. Aperture is the physical hole, and what Aperture does overall is it allows more or less light in. So if you're shooting at 2.8, or in the case of this, I can do 1.4, you're letting a lot of light in. And the main thing, at least the way that I use it, is to control depth of field. So I like shooting lenses, prime lenses, specifically at f1.4. So I get that really nice separation from your subject to the background. If you're reading the lens, you're reading what it says. There's a number associated with it. It'll say f2.8 or f2.8-f4. And what that means is it's either variable or fixed. So in the case of all of these lenses, they are all fixed. These are fixed at 2.8, 2.8, 1.4. That is where the minimum aperture is. You can go all the way up to, in this case, f32. Other lenses kind of cap out at different apertures. So what the main benefit is, shooting wide open, you get that really nice crisp depth of field, and also you just let a lot of light in. So if you're in a dark space, you don't have to rely on your camera's ISO and high sensitivity to light in order to get the image that you want. But at something like f22 or f16, you're gonna start to get that nice starburst. Here's some footage from Japan. So as you can see, starting at something like f4, it's kind of the sun's a little bit of a blob, and as you get more towards f16, it is becoming that nice, beautiful starburst. Now, don't overdo this. You're probably, the first few times, you're gonna be like, wow, I'm gonna shoot everything at whatever the maximum, like f22. I just want that like nice starburst. And then you're gonna get back and you'll be like, it kind of overpowers the entire scene. So I feel like whenever you discover a new thing, you want to kind of go all the way to what you think is looking amazing, and then you want to dial it back just a little bit so that the images stand true to time a little bit longer. If you have a kit lens and you have something that says f3.5-5.6, what that means is that when you're at the wide angle, it's at 3.5, and as you zoom in, if you're at something like 55mm, when you get down to 55, you're going to be shooting at whatever the second number of that is. So basically, the wide angle ends is the first number, and the zoomed in telephoto side of that zoom lens is the other variable aperture number listed. Let's get to photographing some eggs, some real life examples. What should I use? I got lots of egg jokes. So as you can see right now, the first egg is in focus, and this is being shot wide open on this lens at 2.8. Wide open means shooting the minimum aperture. The second egg is a little bit soft, and the background is completely gone. As I stop down, I'm in aperture priority, which means that the only thing that I'm manually controlling is the aperture. Everything else is all automatic. So it will adjust the ISO and it will adjust my shutter speed in order to compensate for whatever crazy things I do with the aperture. You'll see as I get to something like f22, that everything is a lot more in focus. So the first egg is in focus, the second egg is pretty much in focus, and the background is a little bit sharper. It's still a little bit out of focus, and that is all to do with kind of the distance here. So by shooting a lower aperture and zooming in, you're going to get less depth of field in the background. Whereas if I was shooting wide angle and stop down to something like f22, the entire scene is pretty much going to be in focus. All right, we're gonna put this egg up on this here ladder. That's fine. The other thing that goes into depth of field is actual distance. If I'm shooting at 85, 1.4 from back here, there's gonna be a lot more depth of field behind the egg that I'm photographing on top of the ladder here. Very technical demonstration with the ladder egg. And as you can see, even though I'm shooting at 1.4, there is a lot more in focus in the background than if I was to get up nice and close to almost my minimum focusing distance. And in this case, basically everything in the background just disappears. If you want to get the minimum depth of field, if you want that really nice separation, one, you're going to need a lens that goes down to 1.4, 1.8, or even 2.8, and then you're going to want to zoom in as much as you possibly can, or in this case, just shooting at 85 millimeters is more than good enough. If you want to buy a 50 millimeter lens, 51.8, that's where I started, and on that lens, you can get some really, really nice depth of field separation. So if you're just shooting with the kit lens right now and you're kind of stressed out that your photos just don't look as good as you want them to, just get that 50 millimeter 1.8. It's a pretty inexpensive lens in the grand scheme of things, and go out and just start creating things with good depth of field and start to understand when to use it and when not to use it. It doesn't, like, if it's not your style to just shoot everything at 1.4 or 1.8 all of the time, you'll know that. And by buying that lens and going out into the world and just experimenting is how you figure that out. Now there's one exception to the rule of depth of field, and that is if you're using a tilt shift lens. So basically what a tilt shift lens does is, rather than leaving your depth of field that if the egg is in focus, the background's gonna be nice and soft, what a tilt shift lens does is it allows you to change the focal plane on different angles. So rather than just having the background out of focus, I can have a sliver in this direction so the back window can be in focus and the egg can be in focus and this ladder can be in focus, but it'll be out of focus from here and here over.
Show me.
Here's an example. I don't know if that worked. Let's do it on a wider scale here. So when I put my camera up, basically what I'm seeing here is that the chair is in the foreground and it is in focus, and then also the couch in the background is in focus. So my focus plane is kind of on an angle like this, rather than the usual style of lens, it would just have only the chair in focus and the background all out. So you can definitely do some interesting things with this. If you buy like a really nice hipster hat, you can get away with a lot in wedding photography with this. The first time you use it, you really, really dig the effect and you really overuse it. So whatever you're doing, dial it back just a little bit so you actually have images that will stand the test of time. Happy birthday, by the way, and thanks for watching this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Why did we use eggs? I don't know why we used eggs, because eggs are life, and life is eggs. Tim gets to keep these cups. He's pretty excited about that. I get to keep this camera, and who gets these? Thanks for sticking around. Another episode of How to Camera coming up another time, every week, forever, for infinity time, because life goes on forever. Subscribe and hit the bell. Hit the bell. It's gonna be a lot of work in post for Tim. I have a lot of jokes about eggs, so they'll start to get better. Say it, egg so, I will not go. You know what they say, a hard-boiled egg, hard to beat, no? My dad told me never to put all of my eggs in one basket, and that's why we lost the Easter egg hunt every single year. Is that a joke? Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this episode of How to Camera. The eggs specifically were brought to you in part by Squarespace. Squarespace is the fastest and easiest way for you to make a photography website. And one thing that I'll speak to today, one reason that I really do love their product is, one, I've been using it for years, as you've heard in the past episodes of this show. But one of the new additions is the scheduling software that's just built into your website. So as a family and a portrait photographer, I run a lot of sales, like specifically around Christmas and Black Friday and Mother's Day, where I open up a specific day or two that people can either come into the studio or I'll meet them out in a park somewhere, and it'll be that specific Sunday. And I used to use a third-party plugin to kind of manage all of that and to take payment, and it was a bit clunky. And now that Squarespace has rolled out scheduling, people can just come to my website, and it's a very easy and organic process for them to schedule themselves in, and also for me to take payment from them. So everything's 100% paid. So if I have a no-show, they have a little more reason to show up if they've already paid, a little less reason to cancel, which is a business thing that I've kind of discovered over time. So set up your scheduling on Squarespace, as well as get a Squarespace website. And eventually we're going to be doing a video on how to set one up in the fastest way possible, because it is really, really lightning fast. So thanks for watching today. I'll see you next time. It's getting a bit sunny out there.